Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Gonzalez. I'm the Adobe specialist here at the U of A, and what we're going to do today is talk about editing video with Premiere Rush. Maybe in the chat or a thumbs up, who here has used Premiere Rush before? Thumbs up, cool. Hopefully that's a couple joiners. Excellent, and if you haven't used it, that's okay. You're going to use it now, and you're going to find that it is a very friendly program for getting used to editing video. So Premiere Rush is actually, as of I think December, it's a free piece of software that anybody can use in a limited function. There's some premium features that you don't have access to if you don't have a license. So if you ever happen to leave the university and you lose your CC license, you can actually still use Premiere Rush to do a lot of what you need. And you can export as many videos as you want. Before it was free, but you could only export up to 3 hours and then you had to pay. So let's go ahead and jump in here. All right, so this web page that I have sent to you, for those of you that just joined, there's an assets link that I'd like you to download if you want to follow along. And what we're going to do is just make a 30-second clip about Arizona. And we're going to look at all the ways that you can make a video feel more polished and more engaging. So we're going to look at using multiple clips, tracks. We're going to add images. We're going to put a soundtrack. We're going to do a voiceover. And we're going to add some graphics as well. And then we'll see how to export it out and actually put it somewhere. So you can go start to finish all in Premiere Rush. A really cool thing about Premiere Rush, one of many cool things, is that if you kind of find you've hit your limit on what you're trying to do there, you can open a Rush project in Premiere Pro and take it farther. So that's a really cool feature. You can't do vice versa. Premiere Pro can't be opened in Rush, but that's okay. Okay, so Premiere Rush is really, it's in the name. It's meant for being able to quickly and easily create a piece of video. And this piece of video could be a 5-second social media clip, or it could be a full hour presentation that you want to share with the world, anything in between and beyond. So we put that there, and just a little, today's mostly about the app, but just a little thing to consider is when you are making these video projects, it's almost always only going to be as good as your media that you bring. So take the time to plan, to organize, to, if you're recording audio, find a quiet space, maybe even a decent microphone. And really just treat it like a project. You can't just, well, you can slap something together, but you won't be as happy. And like anything else in life, it takes practice. So if you find it takes a while the first time, it doesn't eventually, and you get better as you practice. So let's just go ahead and jump into Rush here. Premiere Rush. When you open Premiere Rush, if you have projects, you'll see all your projects in this splash screen. And what's really cool about Rush is that it can sync across the cloud. It does it by default. So you see this little monitor with a cloud. That means that this is hosted by Adobe. It's not saved to my computer. And I can open it on my phone on the same app. Let's see if my camera wants to play nice. And I'll see the same projects here. It's not going to focus. There it goes. So it syncs across devices. So you can work something on your phone, record things from your phone, and put them into a Rush project, and then finish them up on your desktop, which is a really nice workflow for a lot of the way people are making content today. Just had a couple people join. Here's the link to our resource page. This resource page has tips and tricks, reminders about how to use Rush. So don't feel like you have to memorize or take notes, although you're welcome to. And most importantly, it has the asset link if you'd like to join. All right, let's go back to Rush. So this is our home screen that will show us our projects. And if you have Cloud Sync enabled, which it is by default, it is uploading to the cloud, which the only caveat is if you don't have internet, you don't have your projects. So keep that in mind. You can always click these ellipses and turn off the sync, and it'll be saved to your machine. Okay, so we're going to create a new project. There's not a lot of buttons in Premiere Rush. Has anybody here opened Premiere Pro before? Okay, so I remember the first time I opened Premiere Pro and I was like, there's too many windows, too many menus, what's all this stuff? And that's why I think Rush exists, is to ease people into video editing so that you know what you want when you get to Premiere Pro. All right, we're going to create a new project. And the new project screen, it doesn't just open a blank timeline like you might be used to in other video editors. It asks you to select your media first. So you need to select at least one part of your project to get going. Before I start selecting, I'm going to name my project down here in the lower left, Arizona, and a heart. Perfect. And I've already organized all of our files. If you move your files around, I mean, it depends on if it's cloud synced or not, but I actually think that, yeah. But anyway, a good practice, whether you're on the cloud or not, is to have a dedicated folder for your project with all of your project files in it, because if you don't keep track of your files, you might open a file up later on and get a big red screen that says media missing. So make a file for it and put your media in there. If I was doing something more in depth, I'd probably separate my photos, my graphics, and my videos out as well. But let's go ahead and go back to the import screen. So on the left-hand side, you can navigate to find your folder. Mine is just on my desktop, and it's called Premiere Rush. And then you'll see any compatible files in there. And there's a lot of compatible files. You can put Photoshop and I think Illustrator files, PNG, JPEG, .mov, .mp4. It's a really long list. And as you click on them, it's giving you the order of your sequence. So you can click to choose to add it. You can click again to say, oops. So I want to start with this Grand Canyon flyover. And also notice if it's a video, your mouse becomes kind of a scroll tool, so you can move left and right to see the video clip as a preview. So I can do that with each of these. So I want to start with this one. And at this point I could create, but I can also trim my clip before I bring it into the project. So I could click this is a little crop, maybe not quite that icon, but it looks like it. That'll bring my clip up. I can watch it. There it goes. And maybe I actually wanted to start here. So I paused and there's my playhead, that blue dot and blue line. And just like if you've ever trimmed a clip on your phone or in almost any other application, you just take the beginning of the clip until you see the bracket with an arrow pointing in, and you just drag that in. And then I can play it and I can decide where I want it to end. I can also just drag it if I don't want to watch. So maybe right here. This check mark here means it's going to be added to my sequence. If I click it again, it will no longer be added. And I'll click create now. Or I can exit out and continue adding. That trimming that I did is still going to persist. All right, let's go ahead and create. It's user's choice. Personally, I like to just open one piece of file and assemble it as I'm working and thinking about it. Sometimes if it's just a slideshow of images, I'll just add them all at once. But in this case, let's just start with one and build it up. Okay. Oh, and one, I should have shown you this. When you make a new project, you can also hit the gear next to the name. And that's where you can choose your ratio. And if it's a vertical video, like you're making a social media video, and you can also have it do some auto adjusting the things as you bring them in. But let's go back. You all can also do that later. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's our Rush workspace. And you might have noticed I made my project, I named it, and I put the video in there. And I never actually went and saved, I just kind of backed out. And that's because Rush automatically saves as you're working, which is really nice. Okay, so the big main window is our project preview. We can see what we've created so far. So far, all I've done is bring in the clip that I trimmed. Here underneath is our play buttons. We can go back to the next edit. So this doesn't go back to home, it just goes back to the next cut. So if there's a clip there, it goes back. We've got play, we've got step forward 1 frame, step back, and we've got go to the next edit. So previous and next. You can also just grab your playhead and move it around your project. Here is what we call our sequence or our timeline, depending on what you're used to. It shows me how many seconds it is, and it shows my tracks. Right now I have 1 track with 1 video clip in it. Underneath there is this little scrolling tool that if you take the ends, you can zoom in and zoom out on your sequence, which is very helpful to know because sometimes you get zoomed in too far and it's really hard to navigate. When I get into my workspace, one of the first things I do is open up this menu, this little side menu, because there's some useful tools when you start combining. There's the lock, which means the track cannot be moved. Because one thing Rush will do is pair tracks to one another so that they move together. You can have up to 4 graphic and video tracks on Rush compared to Premiere Pro, which can have, I think, hundreds. You can mute the track, which is really useful if you don't want the audio from it, or if you're recording your voiceover and you don't want the background music playing. And you can even hide a track so that it doesn't play. Maybe you're trying to figure something out and you just don't want to see it at the moment. Okay. Now let's talk about working with this track a little bit more. Are there any questions so far? And I want to say, ask questions at any point. You can, anything comes up that you want to know about, let me know. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so this is our kind of center, our main space. On the left-hand side, we have the trim tool, the split or scissors. We have a duplicate button, and we have a delete button. You can also just press delete on the keyboard. I'm going to press Command or Control Z to undo. And notice you have to have a track selected. So if I click here, these tools don't do anything. If I select my clip, my track, then I can split it, which all it does is treat it as 2 different clips so that I can, shorten this one and put something in between. Excuse me, undo, or move it up and above. So splitting is kind of a way to split it and put stuff in between. It's also a nice way to trim your tracks. So if I decide I actually wanted it to start here, I could drag this in again, or just the way I do it, whatever you prefer. I press S on the keyboard, it splits my track. I click on the piece I don't want and I hit delete. And what I want you to notice is that Premiere Rush ripples, which means when you remove something, it pushes everything back to fill it in, which is something a lot of other movie editors don't do, which can be useful, can be a little frustrating. Sometimes you wanted to leave that empty space. That's why you might lock things while you're deleting. Okay. Also notice Premiere Rush is non-destructive, so anything I delete, I can bring right back just by dragging it out. So nothing is forever. If you go look at your video clip on your browser, it will always look the same. All right. Let's add some more things to our video. Yeah, but only lock it to that specific track. So if it'll lock the whole thing. So I can't. Sorry, someone asked. Locking it will make it so it won't move back. Only if you have them on separate tracks. So if I were to if I were to duplicate this and move it above, right now they move together. So if I lock the top one, then they are not affected by one another. So that's just something that I've noticed users get a little frustrated by, is the way they can lock together. It's actually a useful feature most of the time, but sometimes you find yourself fighting the way that they've been paired. Hopefully that helps. Okay, let's bring in some more media. There's basically two ways, you're very welcome, to continue adding to your project. You can click the blue plus button, or you can also just drag and drop. If you're just trying to bring one piece in, like say I want to put a Sedona picture in here next, that's not a bad way to do it. But what's really nice about the blue circle with a white plus in it, you'll also find graphics, audio, and voiceover here. So you go to your media, and you can go ahead and select your sequence of next media pieces. So this is nice. Instead of just dragging and dropping everything in, I can say, so here's kind of what I picture for my project. We're going to say, this is my video about Arizona. Here's some things I like. So the Grand Canyon, then we'll look at some Sedona pictures and videos. Then we can go to the Chiricahuas and then the Sonoran Desert and close out with this little moonrise. As a side note, all of these images and videos, except the Creative Campus logo, are from Adobe stock. Okay, so there's my Sedona sign. Then let's do the snowy red rocks. Then there's a picture of Cathedral Rock right here. And after that, I wanted to go to the Rhyolite Canyon, and then I'll put the Sonoran Sunset, Seven Falls. Maybe, it might be too many pictures in a row, but let's go ahead and do the tortoise and the saguaro. And if I click add, I mean, I can go and trim them again. I just kind of trim as I'm going along, so I'm just going to add them. It will go ahead and put them all into the same track. Because this project is pretty short and simple, I don't really mind having one continuous track of clips like this. But if you want to separate things out, you can move them into different tracks. You might have noticed multiples were selected, so it was moving them all at once. I just clicked in a blank area so that I could get one here. And your tracks are similar to Photoshop layers or to many other layered projects. Whichever is on top will play on top of the track beneath it. And you might notice my video is not being very good right now. If you look at the top right-hand side, there's a blue circle, well, there's a circle that is partially blue. That means it's rendering the video. So sometimes it's not a bad idea to drop everything in there and kind of answer an email and then come back. But it's, you know, it gets there pretty quick. Okay, I'm gonna put this picture back in here. So I want this to be about 30 seconds. So I'm gonna go shorten a lot of things and edit the length of my pictures here. But here's my whole video. I'm gonna zoom out my sequence here. So far, all we've really done is trim a video and add a bunch of media. And if there's any questions along the way, please do feel free to ask. In this left-hand side, I'm still in my Add Media menu. Underneath, there's just one more button, and that is Project Assets. That shows you what you already have added to your project. And it tells you if you've trimmed it here. That's what this little, is that it? Why is that there twice? Oh, okay. It's being glitchy. It's playing the wrong video, but that's okay. That little icon in the bottom right means that it has been trimmed. Okay, so my intro video, I would say, is a little bit long. I probably want to hit about 3 seconds. I could trim it to 3 seconds, but it's moving pretty slow. So I can also just speed the clip up. And that's going to take us to our editing panel on the right-hand side. So if we look over here, we have type, effects, color grading, which is how you change the contrast, color, brightness of the clips. Then we have duration, speed. We have the audio panel, and we have the crop panel. So you can, the crop is resize, rotate, and transform. So if you wanted to actually see a closer version of the video, you could go here and slide the width up. And that would be your video. That's not what I want. Let's put that back to 100. Okay. So I'm going to go to the speedometer, which is the time controls. And what I can do, this might be a little long, but we'll go ahead and speed it up. I can change the speed by 1%, or I can say exactly how long I want the clip to be. So I can say I want it to be 4 seconds. So I just clicked in there and put 4. You'll see that it's going to play it at 316% speed. So basically a 3 times speed effect. Which, how slow that movie was, that clip was, 3 times faster really didn't make it crazy. This picture, well, let's go ahead and finish on this one. The other option here is to ramp. That means it's going to speed up more like it's a process, like it's actually speeding up instead of just starting at 300%. So if you wanted to kind of have that feeling of it got faster gradually and then it slows down again, that's what the ramp does. All right, so then this picture of Sedona, I also want it to be 3 seconds. You'll notice the only thing you can change on images is the clip duration because they don't have any frames. They just sit there for more time. And we will look at adding a little motion to it. And then we'll go to the snowy Sedona. And in this case, I also want to trim it. So I want it to start about here. And again, user's choice, you can drag into your playhead. Or if you're like me, you can split the clip by pressing S or clicking the scissors, and then delete the other one. And again, if I wanted to keep that spot blank and not have the other clips move, I could have these up here and lock them. And then I could do that. That's kind of what I was saying before. We're going to keep this. All right. And then this next image, I will, oh, sorry, I didn't finish this. So this is currently 6 seconds. And maybe I want it to be, I don't want it to be as short as the intro. So maybe I'll do 5. This can also do slow down a clip. Use that sparingly because when you slow clips down, it is interpolating the frames, it's adding frames in between, and it will feel unrealistic and it won't be as enjoyable to watch as real slow motion. Okay, so this is 5 seconds. It made it 28% faster. So far we have made the first clip 3 seconds long and 300% faster. Then we put a picture at 3 seconds. Then we put Sedona a little bit faster. Then we have this long exposure of a river, a creek in front of Cathedral Rock. I also want it to be 3 seconds. Then we have Rhyolite Canyon in the Chiricahuas, really nice place. Let's go ahead and see here. This is 9 seconds. So I think I can clip a little bit to trim. I want it to start here. I'm going to hit S and delete. And then I'm going to let it play through. So now it's 5 seconds and I actually don't remember. Sometimes this is 20 frames. I believe that still means frames. We have minutes, seconds, and frames. Generally speaking, your project is frames per second. We always have, yep. So 20 frames is 2/3 of a second. So let's go ahead and put that to 0. Are there any questions about changing the speed and duration of clips? I'm just going to do the rest of these without really saying too much. Well, you can ask questions. And you could select, no, you can't, never mind. I thought you could do 2 at a time, but you can't. And this really nice desert tortoise. Anybody have a rescue desert tortoise? I feel like 1 in every 5 people has a tortoise in their backyard now. And then my outro is the moonrise, which is a nice way. And again, I don't really need it to be 12 seconds. I think I also want this to be 3 seconds. And let's see, our project is 32 seconds long. So what I might consider is, let's go ahead and play it through while I talk about it. What I might consider is taking out an image or something, because I'm just showing how you can put them together. I would probably try and make it all video if this was a project with a few pictures, but pictures can really help demonstrate things in a video, and they can really bring a moment of almost artistry to it if it's a really nice image. And there's our whole video, and it ends on a moonrise. Not too bad. Now, there's not a lot happening. There's some static images, there's no sound, there's no transitions, there's no intro title or anything like that, which is what we're going to add next. We feeling good? Can I keep going? Excellent. Okay, let's add a soundtrack. So when you add anything to your project, it will put it wherever your playhead is here. So I'm going to move it to the beginning. I'm going to hit the plus, and I'm going to go audio. And there's these are all free to use, so you can use them without worrying about copyright issues. They're provided by Adobe and licensed already. And you can also bring your own audio in the same way you can drag and drop it in, or click and add your own media. Okay, let's go to soundtracks. And I hope I'm sharing my audio. Let me check that real quick. Where'd it go? There we go. Sorry. It's always somewhere else. All right, let's hear some songs here. Not bad. Oh, mellow. R&B. Got some atmosphere to it. I'm gonna go ahead and use this one so that we don't spend all time. Click add. And you can see it added the entire song, which is longer than my project. So I'm going to go to the end of my project. And you'll find the playhead tends to snap to the actual end, but you can zoom in and confirm. There you go, I missed it. There we go. And I'm going to hit S to split it, and just click on the extraneous clip and remove it. So let's zoom back out. And remember, this back button takes you back to each edit. So it's taking me to each separate clip or trim. So to go home, you just go back. If I press play now, it's a little more engaging. So getting there. Now let's add some motion to the pictures. We call it a pan and zoom, often called Ken Burns effect. It's just basically zooming into your picture in a certain way. So if we go to our effects menu, it's the lightning bolt with 3 lines. I can find transitions, which we'll do next, but I'm going to open up pan and zoom and enable it. And I'll see these 2 frames start and end. So in this case, it's going to zoom out, which might be fun. You can move it and say start here. And you can say the greater the difference between your 2 frames, the faster the zoom effect will occur. So these are pretty short. I don't want to, well, let me show you. Let's say I zoom in here and then I zoom out, and I'm just clicking on the word end and start to switch between them. So if I were to play this, zoom out, which is not too bad. I think I kind of like that, but you can explore. And the opposite, if I wanted to start big and zoom in, I just have to resize my start and end. And in this case, right now, it would just move down. It wouldn't do any zoom. So it could go like this. Next video. Let's go pan and zoom on this picture. And in this case, I'm just going to let Rush mostly decide for us. But I would probably take the time to make it do what I like. But I'm just going to click on each image clip and turn on pan and zoom and assume that it did a good enough job. Actually, on this one, I want it to start at the bottom of the water. There we go. And then the tortoise, still in the effects menu, pan and zoom. And really, this should finish on a nice close-up of this handsome fella. So let's bring that back. I know I said I wasn't going to decide, but I guess I have control issues. And then, if we were to watch this now, more static frames or videos, so it feels like okay, I don't know about the singing in the song, but that's okay. So now we've added a soundtrack and we've added pan and zoom. Now what I'd like to do is add a little intro title. I'm just going to put Arizona. So that is also on our left-hand side. That's where we find things to add to our project. The right-hand side is how we manipulate our project or add effects. So plus graphics. And what you can do is you can choose, so transition graphics are in here too. You can put them in between clips. And then there's overlays that can be like little graphic effects or like the little bottom thirds where it says the person's name. So we're just going to do a title. I'm going to click more. And I'm just going to search for intro. And there are quite a few, they call these motion graphics templates, MOGRTs. And there are a lot of them in different styles. And you'll find there's kind of a family of them, like the stylish one. If you search the word stylish, you'll see stylish intro, stylish bottom third, stylish transition, things like that. Okay, I'm just going to use the very first one, fade intro title. And I'm going to click on it and it'll add it wherever my playhead is. So I'm going to put that back to the beginning and click add. Graphics will have to be their own track because they go on top of your video. And if I press play, fade intro title. When you trim a graphic, you're actually just shortening the duration. So let's zoom in here. And I'm going to mute the audio for now because it's a little grating. So I'll just bring this in to be the same length as my intro video. See, it goes in. And now I'd like to make some edits to this. The easiest way to do that okay, so that's good. That's good feedback, Jackie, because if I talk while the music's playing, that's not very helpful, huh? Hopefully, can you all hear me fine now, though? Yeah, okay, excellent. All right, so the easiest way to edit your title, for me anyway, is to just double click it. And that'll open up the text menu over here. You can also just click on it and select the text over here if you haven't. It highlights the text. If it doesn't have it highlighted, it means you're editing something else like the shape. So for example, I could change the shape outline color to a different, like this, gold. Then to edit the text, I have to open up the text thing, and it'll just be named whatever the current text says. So this will say Arizona. And if I want the text color to be the same as this outline that I did, I can grab this little eyedropper. Sorry. Let me give it permission really quick. All right. So this little eyedropper lets you click and drag over to a color that you want, and it will apply it, or not. Oh, I don't have it highlighted, sorry. There we go. So that's a useful tool for being consistent in what you're putting in there. If you want to change the text size, you have to highlight it, and you can make it bigger, and the shape will get bigger with it on most of these motion graphics, which is pretty nice. So that's how you add a title. So now we have one, Arizona. Now those are kind of ASU colors, but that's okay. Now let's go ahead and add transitions and an outro, and then we'll do a voiceover, fix the audio, and we'll be done. So transitions are the effects we give between clips. I think this is what we call a hard cut or a hard jump, where it just goes from one to the other here. Generally, we see a lot more of that in shorter, like social media videos, especially if you're not changing locations. These kind of hard cuts don't really jar the viewer, but sometimes when we're going to a new place or a new time of day, you want to transition viewers into it. And hi there, someone just joined. I'm going to put the resource page there for you. So the transitions live under our lightning bolt as well. And there are a lot. I encourage you to experiment. For example, I select this clip and I say slide left. What it's going to do is slide the image into the left, the next clip. You might notice that it also put one at the beginning. So I can, let's go ahead and zoom in. If you want to not have that same transition at the beginning, you just have to click on that transition. And you can also, let's just go ahead and delete that. By clicking on the transition, you can make it longer or shorter so that it happens quicker or in more time. I don't think the slide is what we're looking for today. I think we're looking for a cross dissolve or a dissolve. So I'll click on dissolve. And I think I want my title to dissolve out too. But I don't want it to start with a dissolve, so let's remove those. So if we watch this, Arizona, the title dissolves, and then it dissolves into the next clip. That might need to be a little bit longer. Let's try this. And I think we're just seeing it rendering a little strange. This occurs first. There we go. That's not too bad. And then what we're going to do is just do a broad stroke here. I'm going to select the rest of my clips by just clicking and dragging, drawing a marquee. And I'm just going to put a dissolve on everything, except on the very end. That doesn't need one. So now my entire clip dissolves between, my entire sequence dissolves between clips. And I can also put a dissolve on the audio, I think. Yeah. So we can have it fade in and out. So what I want it to do is to fade out here. So let's hear what that sounds like. So it kind of, I'm pretty sure that's how you do it. Sometimes I get mixed up between programs. Yeah, that kind of did. Okay, so we have a fade out, we have transitions between every clip, we have an intro title, and let's go ahead and have the fade out paired with the Creative Campus logo. So I'm going to go back to plus, and I'm going to go my media. No files to show. No, I was just joking. And I probably want this white text, so I'll put it on here. So let's go ahead and have it only go when the video starts to turn black. And then notice how big it is. That's where I can go to my crop and I can shrink it down. I can also click on an image, a graphic like this, and just choose where it's going to be. And I can also shrink. And if I move my mouse to the very outside, I can rotate. It's a little temperamental about that. Okay, and I can put a dip to black on the Creative Campus logo. So let's go to Effects and Black and delete. So now, okay. Let's make that longer. The last thing I'm going to do is put some kind of nonsensical voiceover on this. So I went ahead and muted my track already. Are there any questions about everything we've seen so far? There'll be plenty of time for questions at the end as well, so no worries. All right. So before you start recording any voiceover from your own device, you want to go to your Premiere Rush preferences. On a Mac, it's under the Premiere Rush menu. I believe on Windows, it's under File. And your preferences are really short. Where's your sound coming out of? And where's your sound input? And for me, I have my Yeti Nano microphone. So then you choose which track you're going to record on. So I don't want to record on top of the soundtrack. I don't want to record on this track. You can, well, I can't anyway. So I'm going to choose the next track down and click that microphone. And now it's saying this track is targeted for recording. When I hit that red button, I'm going to get a countdown, and then it's going to play the video and record whatever I'm saying at the same time. I have no idea what I'm going to say about Arizona, so let's go. Arizona. We have Sedona. Sometimes it snows here. And we also have Cathedral Walk with this river. And we have these beautiful spires in the Rhyolite Canyon. And I just really wanted to make this video to show some of my favorite places about Arizona, especially the desert tortoise. Thanks for watching. Okay, I would never publish that, but let's see what we've got here. Arizona. We have Sedona. Sometimes it snows here. Okay, the quality is pretty good. I have a dedicated mic, but I also want to show you, if we were to turn it up really loud, we could hear some background noise from my laptop fan and from just ambient noise. So that's where the audio panel comes in. It's this little waveform underneath the speedometer. And here you have to select your track. So I'm going to click this. It says, this is a voice. It figured that out automatically, which is great. And just really useful things like reduce background noise. I usually turn this on a little bit. Sometimes it snows here. So if I turn that back on, and you hear that kind of hissing, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it works really well. It's the same engine as Adobe Audition. You can reduce echo. You can even enhance speech to kind of help it get a little clearer or a little richer sounding. Auto volume will adjust the volume of that clip based on your other clips as well, but you're going to see I have a volume problem compared to my soundtrack. And that's really the short of what you do with this, but it's really, really helpful. And then let's go ahead and turn our soundtrack on and listen. You'll see we have Arizona. I guess that was pretty loud. We have Sedona. Sometimes it snows here. The soundtrack's too loud, right? And there's two ways to approach this. And you might do a combination of the two. You can just lower the clip volume. So if I click on the soundtrack, I can turn auto volume on or just make it a little quieter. Maybe take it down to 30. We have Sedona. Sometimes it snows here. That solves it. Or if I want it to stay a little quieter, maybe at 40, and then I want it to duck, right? Whenever there's a voice, that's what Autodub does, and it works really well. When you click that, it is going to reduce the volume anytime I speak. And this is how much it reduces by. So let's just try 50. Let's start from the beginning.
Arizona.
That's so loud.
We have
Let's get rid of that first part. That's a little. And you'll notice the audio is trimmed and split and everything, just like video and pictures.
we have Sedona. Sometimes it snows here. And we also have Cathedral Rock with this river. And we have these beautiful spires in the Rhyolite Canyon. And I just really wanted to make this video to show.
And what I might do, oh boy, okay, good, I saw freezing happening. You'll notice I say Cathedral Rock before Cathedral Rock happens. So I could split that and move it over so that it happens later. So you can split your audio up and line it up. I would take the time to do that for a finished product. And that's really the editing experience. This is almost everything you can do with Premiere Rush. The only thing we didn't look at was color grading, which it just, it's this Venn diagram, and there's a lot of presets to change what it looks like. And you can also go and make your own edits here, the brightness and so forth, which is really useful to help get a consistent tone and exposure. Question?
When you split your voiceover part to spread it out so the computer walks lined up, it looks like the duck part on the track above it now peaks and gets louder in between. Is there a way to keep it flat in between so it sounds?
Oh, so I messed my ducking up. Is that what you're saying when I moved it?
I think when it pulls apart, it looks like there's a peak now in between the two where the sound volume comes back up.
You're absolutely right. And I meant to say that. I'm glad you brought it up. You just uncheck auto duck and check it again, and it will re-render the ducking. It's a really good question. I'm glad you asked.
That's easy.
So you can see it should peak when there isn't talking anymore. And I'm glad you noticed the little peaks. That's what the ducking is. This little grayed out is showing the volume going down and then back up. And it's clever enough to say, well, I'm not going to go up for half a second. I'm just going to stay quiet for that, which is great. So all that's left is to share this out, which is what we call exporting. And we'll go from edit. And again, it's saved the whole time I was working. If I go home, it's just here waiting for me, Arizona heart. And if I go share now, this is where I can choose. You can do some integration, like you can put in your YouTube login and it'll shoot it there, and Facebook and Instagram and Behance. I just like to have the file and upload it myself. So I would name it Amazing AZ Video, my finest word. And this button, Save To, that's a little button you can click and choose where it's going to go. I'll just put it on my desktop. And then it's telling you estimated file size based on these auto settings. So if I open this menu up, it's going to do automatic 4K, change the frame rate to 29.97, which I recommend instead of any other strange ones, unless you have a dated one. Yes, Mary, this session will be on that website I shared with everybody. I'm going to put it in the chat again so you can save it. I'm going to drop it right where the agenda is.
Okay, thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. You can choose the audio, it's mono, stereo, or just no sound, and the quality settings. Let's go ahead and do this at 1080 just so that maybe it goes a little faster, and to my desktop. Notice for some reason when I chose a different resolution, it jumped back to documents. I'm a little nervous about exporting. Let's just do it. I might go frozen for like 50 seconds. But generally, we start doing that when this computer won't be happy to do anything else. So I might do bigger projects, high resolution, because it can make experience. Like me. When you're done, it gives you a little button to show you where the file went. I just like to click that. And here's my Amazing AZ Video.
We have Sedona. Sometimes it snows here. And we also have Cathedral Rock with this river. And we have these beautiful spires in the Rhyolite Canyon. And I just really wanted to make this video to show some of my favorite places about Arizona, especially the desert tortoise. Thanks for watching.
All right, we did it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and we have plenty of time for questions if you